everybody, this is Angela Savage, the daughter of IndyCar driver Swede Savage. It's time to watch stories from motorsports. My buddy, Doug Kenny, loves to share the journey of people in racing, and he is an amazing dude. Drivers, owners, fans, and team members, watch the SFM podcast.
Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny from Stories from Motorsports. I'd like to thank my buddy Josh Mabe for the YouTube work he did years ago that inspired me to create this platform. I'd like to thank my buddy Victor Sifton for convincing me to get back into it after my hiatus from 2017 to 2019. I have a very special treat for you all today with an amazing journey from an amazing racing figure. Drivers, start your engines. Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny from SFM, and today we have the former PR guy for Go FAS Racing and previously Go Green Racing, Tim Barile, with us. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
Doing fabulous. Where are you at the moment?
I am currently at home in Rockland, California, just outside of Sacramento, about an hour and a half from Sonoma Speedway.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So, are you active in motorsports at the moment, or what are you up to career-wise?
No, I'm not, active-wise. I just, I watch it on TV when I can, but I've kind of shifted gears and now work in the commercial insurance industry. So, something a little bit more stable.
Yeah. So when did you get involved in racing to begin with?
So I became a huge fan of racing at a young age. I think it was like 1996. Daytona 500 was the very first race I ever watched. That was when Hendrick Motorsports finished 1, 2, 3, and then that got me hooked. And then in high school, a buddy of mine in one of my classes raced at our local short track, All-American Speedway. And so I started helping him out, working on his cars. That led from one thing to another. Ended up working for a couple K&N Pro Series West teams, and then decided I wanted to get into the business side of racing. So I was going to college, and I transferred out to UNC Charlotte. And I was fortunate enough to where at the time, one of the drivers I worked for out here in California, his name was Jamie Dick. And he had started up his own, at the time, nationwide team, Viva Motorsports. And so he kind of gave me an internship doing PR for him. And that's kind of how I got my foot in the door at the higher levels. And then I was with Jamie for about one season. And then there was a job opening at the time, Go Green Racing. And I went and applied. And I'll never forget it. I walked into the shop and JJ Ailey was outside, because at the time he was driving part-time for them. And he's like, "What are you doing here?" Like acting all kind of like mean and rude, but he was just messing around. And so I went and interviewed, and I got a phone call the next day, and I got the job.
That's nice, man. So when did Go Green Racing begin?
When did Go Green begin? Oh gosh, they were around for a long time before that. Because at that time they were in the Cup Series full time, but before that they were with they were in the Nationwide Series for a long time with Joey Gase. And Jeffrey Earnhardt drove for them. Joey Gase drove for them a lot. I don't know the exact dates that they were around, though. But Archie St. Hilaire, who was the owner of Go Green, he owned their Xfinity team. And then they bought out Frankie Stoddard's team, which I think was not Lit Fast. That's BJ McLeod. I think it was Go FAS Racing at the time. And I think who was driving for him? I think Ken Schrader, Boris Ed were driving for him. They had Terry Labonte on the super speedways. So Archie and Frankie Stoddard kind of merged together and formed Go FAS Racing.
Yeah, I think the previous name was Fast Lane, and then...
That's it, yes. Thank you, Fast Lane.
Yeah, memories, you have so much going on, sometimes we can forget things,
Yeah, exactly. So, but when I started with them, we were strictly Go Green Racing.
Yeah.
and then we switched over to Go FAS. Kind of the merge of two names.
Yeah.
So,
I was always wondering, and it took me some time to learn why, but I was always wondering why Frank Stoddard didn't seem to be active in the team despite merging afterwards. Was that because it was just a complete sellout, pretty much?
for the most part, so from what I understood, I never got the full story. When they bought the team from Frank, they bought all the cars, the assets, everything. And it's funny because all the cars and assets came from Roush Racing, because obviously that's where Frankie spent his career. And it's funny because all of our pit equipment was the Jamie McMurray Crown Royal equipment. So underneath, if the paint ever started chipping, it was purple underneath when he had Crown Royal. But he had a very small ownership on the team, and his ownership really relied on our relationship with Roush. And Frank had more control on the super speedways and the road courses because Frank brought us, Bobby Labonte later on, and Boris Said and all those guys.
Yeah, I noticed that Boris drove with you guys for a while, and then when they decided to have a full-time driver, he was left driving for a few other teams like Circle Sport, I believe, at one point.
Yeah, he did. Okay, I'm trying to remember. I know he did Sonoma with us. He did Sonoma and Watkins Glen for us, and then those were the two primaries. Well, at the time, that was only two road courses, I guess. It's hard to think that far back. Now there's so many road courses in the series, but at the time, we only had those two.
Yeah, and didn't you have Patrick Carpentier at one point?
Yes, he drove for us at Indianapolis.
Yeah, I remember that the highlight of that weekend for him was unfortunately a on-track collision with Kyle Busch, and they had to speak about it afterwards. What was that about, if you remember?
I remember trying to follow Patrick, making sure he wasn't going to do anything stupid. Because it was Kyle Busch, and Patrick just wanted to go up and apologize and say he was sorry because, if I remember correctly, we were off the pace. We were every weekend just because we didn't have the money. We didn't have the money that, Joe Gibbs and Hendrick and Penske had. And he just wanted to apologize to Kyle. And if I remember, it went fairly well. And Kyle, stood there and talked to Patrick for a while. And, they ironed everything all out and everything was good afterwards.
Yeah, Patrick was just as great a road course racer as Boris Said, because remember, in his first debut in NASCAR, he won the pole and almost won Montreal.
Yep, exactly. So, but if I recall, I don't think he was ever in any of our road course cars. It was always Boris. It's like we had a contract with Boris for all the road courses.
Yeah, I think Boris's best finish with you guys was 18th at Sonoma in 2013, and I remember that race exactly because they had a rendition of the national anthem that, in my opinion, wasn't the best, and I remember seeing Boris on television holding his hand over his heart, but having a look as if to say, why did they pick this guy?
Yeah, we would have that sometimes. We talk about that in the garage at times. I'm like, what? Obviously the best national anthem, that you would think if being the Cup Series they could do better, but,
And it got even funnier, though. It got even funnier when they showed Ron Fellows, and I think that was Ron's last race in NASCAR at the time, or one of his last. But his jaw was dropped while holding his hand over his heart.
Yeah, that is true. I do remember that. That was funny.
Yeah, but you have those occasionally, and the guy did the best he could.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it was great to see Boris finish 18th at the time and then retire with Hendrick pretty much this year, don't you think?
Yeah, I think he's done. I mean, I know he was focusing a lot on his business. He owns a few car dealerships down in Carlsbad, down in Southern California, San Diego area. And, I think he still does some sports car racing, some like TA2 stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So,
that's correct.
That's all he's up to these days.
Yeah, and I think Boris Jr. is a big part of that, too, helping his son get going with his career,
Yes, I do remember a lot of that, coming into play and stuff like that.
Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please hit like and subscribe if you did so, and please continue supporting our amazing guest. And everybody, we'll see you next time on SFM.
Hi, this is Ted Warner speaking. While the checkered flag is waved for this program, stay tuned for next week for the next episode of SFM. Thanks to Doug Kenny for what he does for motorsports.